I'm here in Northern California, Chico area, and it's a spectacular day. You see these nice clouds up here? I think everybody loves these kind of clouds. And all you can hear is the chirping of the birds and not much else. Hey out there, it's February 16th, 2014. And today I wanted to address conservatives and liberals in as positively a manner as I possibly can, while not pulling any punches at the same time. And I want you to ask yourselves out there why you identify with a particular school of thought, let's say, either conservative or liberal. And I want to preface that by pointing out that historically, the Democratic Party in the past was considered the conservative party, and conversely, the Conservative Party was the Republican Party was more aligned with the liberal school of thought. So it has changed, and so you've got to ask yourself, what meaning does it really have, and why do we have these two schools of thought? At least we believe we do, because we've been taught we do. By the school system, by the mainstream media, by our peers, by our family and friends. Because if everybody around you is thinking similarly, then it's going to be very difficult for you to break out of that paradigm and say, you know what? I actually align myself with both schools of thought. And that's okay. So what are we to do? Are we to take a chainsaw and cut ourselves in half and sacrifice one to the Conservative Party and one to the Liberal Party? Or should we say, let's look at what may be some common denominators, and let's look at what some of the differences may be. Now, to point out some common denominators, I would say that both liberals and conservatives, professed liberals and professed conservatives, agree with the Constitution. Let's give everybody the benefit of the doubt and presuppose that these are both intelligent groups of people. The camp of the conservatives, the camp of the liberals, are very intelligent people. And let's also presume that they have pure motives. They are benevolent minded, and that they want the best for humanity. And that we support the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence. We support the First Amendment, free speech. And I believe that even the Second Amendment is becoming less and less of a controversy between liberals and conservatives. At least the really honest ones can agree that everybody has a right to self-defense. It's kind of a no-brainer. So we do have great commonalities, and I think we really need to focus on those to get out of this imposed left-right paradigm that really has no substance in reality. Now let's examine some of the stumbling blocks to bringing someone, let's say, that's on a liberal side of things when it comes to issues like abortion. I think this is a big stumbling block. This is a big controversy between the liberal camps and the conservative camps. That I would say a lot of conservatives, not all, are against abortion. That they would prohibit it by law if they had their way. Now, the liberals would say it's a woman's right to choose. And so both sides have their virtue. And I think, in all honesty, conservatives would have to agree that actually the liberal view is more constitutionally correct, that freedom of choice, great liberty for the individual is inherent in our Constitution. So I think we really need to start there. And on this particular issue, I think what I would say is think it through. Think it through. And it's horrific. All the unborn children that have died at the hands of the system. Really, it's the system. And we have to ask ourselves, what are those factors that makes a woman choose to get rid of the life growing within her? We've got to look at such paramount issues as economics, finances, and say, hey, you know what? Maybe if this woman was more financially secure, then she would have chosen to keep her baby. This is what I believe we need to focus on. And if I was going to change the law in any way, I'd say, hey, you say it's a woman's right to choose, and I say, well, you're right, because rape is illegal. It's unlawful, and as it should be, for a man to force his way on a woman sexually. That's rape. So a woman has the right to choose not to be raped, not to have forcible intercourse. And then you have to say, well, then she used her choice when she willfully had relations with a man. And that's true. And the man used his choice at that point too. So in all honesty, we have to admit that the abortion, the choice whether to keep the baby growing within her or to get rid of it, is a second choice. In light of that fact, we have to say, well, what is the comparable second choice that the man has as an easy out? Not that it's an easy decision for a woman, it must be horrific. It's got to be. Instinctively, it's got to just go against every decent instinct to want to keep the baby, because there's not another creature on earth that I know of that does such a thing. I have heard of, creatures eating their own, and there's some bizarre things with the other creatures out there, but we're human beings made in the image and likeness of God, so it must be a horrific decision for a woman. Now, my suggestion is that a man has a way out too, a second choice. And this is more to call the bluff of society, because personally I consider myself a noble man, that if I had relations with a woman and she became pregnant, then I would want to be there lock, stock, and barrel, 100% for her, to provide whatever she and the baby growing within her that would likely become a living, breathing human being walking on the face of the earth. I instinctively want to do everything I can to be there for her. I think it's the right thing to do. It's the noble and good and proper thing to do. Nevertheless, to call the bluff of the establishment, I say, let's put pressure on society and say, now this guy has a waiver and he can sign off his parental rights, and that releases him from all financial obligation. Then you say, well, how does that help? Well, that puts the responsibility on the system that has decided that this is a fair course of action, that a woman has the right to choose to get rid of her baby. And so when society says, wait a minute, then we have to take care of this woman financially. We have to ensure that this child is in a healthy, comfortable environment, and that economic issues are not a problem. that they can be taken care of, because the state then, because of their decision to allow that choice, so the woman has the same right to get rid of her baby as to keep it, then it's their obligation to take care of this woman and to release the man, if he so chooses, from any financial obligation, because that's a double standard. That's not fair, because there's all kinds of stories out there of men that have their lives are financially disrupted because of the woman's right to keep the child. And while I think she made the right decision, of course, 100% so, nevertheless, I don't think it's fair that a guy that wants to be ignoble, he chooses to do something different from deciding that she should keep the child, and he decides he wants to be free and released from the first choice he made, just like the woman has a right to be released from the first choice she made to lay down with the man. He has a right to be released from the choice to lay down with the woman. So it's more of a calling the bluff of the system. That's what we all got to understand, is that these rulers at the very top are very manipulative. They mind F us every which way from Sunday, and they know what they're doing. It's deliberate, it's intentional. They want us confused, because if we're confused, we're off balance, we're disempowered, we are not confident, quite the contrary, and we're disempowered. I mean, that's it. In a nutshell, we don't have what it takes to stand up against these people that are making the policies of which the police, there's a correlation there between the words, are tasked to enforce. So we've got all sorts of arbitrary laws out there that just favor this tiny elite group at the very top, these master manipulators. We have to understand these people are at the root of the problem. These are the top money lovers, those that literally worship money and put them ahead of everything else. They just as soon get rid of the vast majority of the Earth's population just so they can keep their position and place, their lot in this world. These are some sick people. This is the money printing class. Ask yourself, why don't you have the copyright to the money? Okay? Why aren't you born with a right to share in this planet's wealth as a birthright? Your inheritance, your rightful lot on this planet that is given from above. It's God-given. Why don't you? Why is it only the select group of sorcerers, what I call them, and their magic elixir, the money, which is such a charade, as everybody knows? These people can print it whenever they want. There's no accountability. There's no checks and balances on these people. And the second group I want to discuss, which is right in league with these people, is this political class. And the political class transcends conservative liberal. These people are in cahoots together. Outwardly, they may look like they believe differently, but they don't. They don't. At the end of the day, they say the most important thing is that we keep not only America, but the whole world on track for establishing this new world order they talk about. This is the Illuminati, the elitists, the top hypocrites, the Rockefeller and Rothschild class, the Bush and Clinton, all these people, conservative and liberal. And if you notice the top guys like Alan Greenspan, you never hear about what political affiliation they are. They don't give a crap. It doesn't mean a damn thing to those people. So why does it mean a damn thing to us? Let's call their bluff on everything, particularly on the price fixing, okay? Because this affects conservatives and liberals alike. The fact that California is leading the country in oppression, that because I live in California, I have a valid say-so here, because I know the trend that you can expect across the country and across the world. And recently I made a video and I had a Freudian slip, because I said that, Obama was making his State of the State address. But, I'm thinking California as being the nation, and the police state and all this stuff is in my mind. But it's a State of the Union, of course, address that he was making to the nation. But if you want to know the direction the country is going, with this price fixing, the market manipulation,